Hello and welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about the season 1 of Attack on Titan, which I just finished watching. And the first thing that I want to mention, which is, it's not related to the season at all. It kind of is this houses, dude. For some reason, on Attack on Titan, the houses doesn't look Japanese. It doesn't look like it's set on Japan in any way. Instead, it looks like it's set on Sweden or Germany. I don't know. It looks European. Look at this architecture. It kind of looks European, right? Why is it European? It's weird because I'm trying to correlate it, like, where's Attack on Titan set on? Which country? And I'm trying to think of the architecture, and I'm trying to think of the name of the characters. For example, like Jean. Jean seems like a very American name. Then you have Eren, which can be an European name, I guess. And then you have Mikasa, which is clearly like it sounds like a Japanese name. So it seems like Attack on Titan is all over the place in terms of like where it's actually set. I'm not particularly sure, but I always found it interesting, the architecture of the walls and the houses, which I actually dig it. It looks like a little quaint town. I do like this architecture. So the last time that I ranted about Attack on Titan, I only seen like 7 episodes. Now I've seen the whole season, and they introduced the Survey Corps, which means Levi and Erwin and whoever else is in it, because I don't particularly care. Oh, Marco! Marco's dead though. Was Marco on the Survey Corps? I don't know, I just know that dude is dead. So yeah, they introduced Levi, which honestly, I'm not as big a fanboy. I do like his rationality when it comes to like acting as a soldier. I do think he's the best example of like how to act if you're in that type of situation. You know what I mean? Because if you contrast it with Eren is a very ideal driven character. He wants to save everybody, even though, bro, you can't save everybody. He doesn't really understand what sacrifices have to be made in order to fight this war that they're fighting. He doesn't have the mental maturity for it. He doesn't have the experience for it, obviously. But Levi does. Levi's and Erwin are a prime example of like experience in the field. You know what I mean? Which is something really cool to see. I guess Pixie's too. He seems wise, even though I kind of don't like his mustache. He kind of creeps me out. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of see him like a gay Mr. Clean. I don't know why, dude. Now I say that I like Levi's rationality because there's a particular point in the series where they're fighting Annie. They're not fighting, they're kind of like leading her or trying to stay away from her. It's when they're all in the fields in their last attack and their last plan that they're executing. And all the other soldiers, there's a bunch of soldiers that are dying because this series is very depressing. Everybody dies and everybody's depressed all the time. Everybody has PTSD over the Titans. That's like this. It's like 90% of the show. So all the soldiers are dying, and the people on the corps are like, oh no, we need to get the bodies and bury them. Give them a proper burial. And Levi is like, dude, forget all that. We don't have time for that. Like, his rationality is pretty solid. They're dead. We're fighting a Titan. Bro, we don't have time to recover their bodies and go through like the whole ceremony with people that people do with dead bodies, which I think is kind of weird. If I was in that world, and they tell me, you know, hey, your dad died on the fields. You know what I mean? Some Titan grabbed him up and drank him like a Capri Sun. Just squeezed him. It was pretty brutal. We're going to recover his body. So, but, you know, just so you know, he's dead. I would take that for an answer. I think it's an acceptable answer. I wouldn't say, hey, why didn't you bring the body? I want to see my dead dad. I want to see his dead body. Obviously, there's casualties in war. You know what I mean? And that scene where everybody was like, oh no, we need to honor the death and whatever, and Levi was like, nah, bro, we don't have time for that. I'm surprised he's the only one that was that logical about it. And it also shows how much experience he has as a soldier. Now Erwin, even though I'm not his biggest fan, I would say this: Erwin has aura, bro. Like when Erwin stands and he gives a speech, everybody listens. The bro has aura. I'll give him that. And he also seems like a pretty smart guy. Along with Levi. However, I will say this about Levi. Levi is a very skillful fighter, but I don't trust that dude, bro. There's something about him that I don't trust. He used to be a drug dealer. They imply that in the show. Bro was a drug dealer, alright? He was peddling some black market manga or something. He was doing something illegal. Bro was selling lolly manga. All right, low key underground. I do like his cruel eyes. He has like very cruel eyes, very sharp eyes. I do like that. His haircut, I don't know. His whole demeanor to me seems like a Nazi. He's very cold-hearted. He's down to follow any order. He seems like a guy that Adolf Hitler could have used in the Nazi regiment. Now, like I mentioned, the show is Depression City. All right, it's very emotionally loaded. However, despite being very emotionally loaded, I barely care if any character dies. I barely care whatever struggle they go through. I look at Eren's struggle with his dead mom, which was super hot, by the way. But I don't feel much for him. I don't feel a lot of sympathy for him. I look at Mikasa's struggle and don't feel much for it. I look at Armin's struggle. Armin, by the way, is my favorite character from the show so far because he seems to be the only one that actually uses his brain. But about his struggles, I don't particularly care for them, and they're kind of trivial and kind of stupid. But you need to give each character, I guess, some kind of like flaw or like something to overcome, some emotion or some trauma to overcome. And Armin's trauma is basically that he has low self-esteem. Bro is probably the smartest guy on the whole show, and he doesn't realize this. He thinks he's useless because he can't fight. Like, he doesn't understand that being smart is even better. It's brains over brawn. You know what I mean? He doesn't realize that concept. And because of that, he's very insecure. Because he sees Eren fighting. Because let me clear, bro. Eren got his first body when he was like 7 years old. And Mikasa too. They killed when they were like 7, 10? I don't particularly know. I don't know the ages, dude. I just know they were little kids and they stabbed a bunch of kidnappers. So Eren catched a body pretty early on, and so did Mikasa. To my knowledge, Armin hasn't catched a body yet. However, like I said, I do like him. I do hate his haircut. It's a little bit too long. He looks like a wuss with that stupid haircut. He got hurt a little bit when he fought Annie, and he had a headband because of it, of the injury, and he looked way better with that haircut and a headband. So I don't know why they chose that kind of that character design. I guess in a way, and this is me like overreaching maybe, if you look at his haircut, it portrays some sense of innocence or some sense of being naive. If you look at his haircut, because you gotta be ignorant to rock that haircut, to think that haircut looks good. So he's pretty stupid. He's pretty clueless in that way. You know what I mean? He doesn't even know how to get a cool haircut. So it probably shows his innocence a little bit, which he's kind of losing his innocence as the season 1 progresses. He kind of smarten up a little bit. He gets some cojones, you know, grows a pair a little bit, and he starts to be a bit more confident. But he still struggles. Dude, if you pay Armin a compliment, you're like, hey, dude, you did good on that last mission. He's like, what? I'm actually useful? And he has a flashback of him hanging out with Eren and something like that. It's so it's a bit trivial if you think about it. I mean, Eren lost his mom. That's some trauma right there, bro. Mikasa lost her whole family. That's some trauma right there. What's Armin's trauma? He's a little bit insecure, but he's a little bit insecure, dude. Now, like I said, this whole show is very depressing. It's very gloomy. The whole concept of it is like the atrocities of war, how many people they lose, how many comrades they lose in each battle. It's a very it's like 90% of the tone of the show. It's a bit much, I'm not gonna lie, honestly. I'm not saying they shouldn't incorporate that, because that kind of loss adds to the emotional value of the show, right? But at the same time, it's a bit much. It's a bit depressing, not gonna lie. Like I said, everybody has PTSD from fighting the Titans except Eren or Mikasa. Mikasa doesn't seem to be affected by any of that. Actually, Mikasa is just so obsessed over Eren. She's kind of grown on me. Her loyalty has kind of grown on me. But at the same time, Mikasa doesn't seem to care about anybody else. You know what I mean? She only cares about Eren. It's like Mikasa hasn't made an effort to make a single friend in the corps. She only cares about Eren. Now Eren is kind of the opposite of Mikasa. He thinks he's everybody's friend. He wants to save everybody. Dude can't even handle one casualty. Now, when it comes to the death, like I said, this show was very emotional, but I'm not that emotionally involved with most of the characters. Okay, when it comes to the death so far, I think I've only cared for 2 of them. One was Petra, because goddamn, that was pretty sad. I like Petra. She got stumped in a tree, bro. Like her remains are still on that tree, squashing that whole tree. That was pretty sad. And the other death that it didn't hit me as hard, but I was like, oh, I'm a little bummed about that. There was a couple in the corpse, a girl and a guy. And even though they didn't show them much, they showed at the beginning that they were a couple, right? And they were in love, and they were doing the lovey-dovey couple things. And then later on, they showed that the guy actually died, and you can see the girl mourning over him. See those kind of things, I think are fine to include in the show. They add to the emotional value of the show. However, when you have characters like Jean or other characters reflecting on the atrocities of war and all the fallen ones, and they keep doing it all over and over again, it's a bit too much. It sets the tone. It sets a very depressing tone. They could have scaled down a little bit on that, but that's just a personal thing. I think people probably like that it's very emotionally loaded like that. I particularly think they could ease off a little bit on that. Let's talk about Jean. Jean is a negative Nancy, as I would call him. You know what I mean? He's the guy that's always, when the situation is already gloomy, he makes it even more gloomy with stupid questions, or like just questioning like the orders, or like questioning, was it all worth it? Because Jean was a character that was supposed to be an opportunist, right? He got into the corps just to get into the military branch and live like a cozy life, protecting the main city, I guess. Now throughout the season, he kind of realizes that he's not gonna get a free ride in any sort of way, and he starts to see how his fallen comrades die, and it affects him. And he also sees Aaron's passion, and that kind of changes him a little bit. It kind of makes him more dedicated to the cause, but he's still struggling a little bit with that. I do like, listen, even though he's pretty negative, I do like Jean, and I do like that he's going through that. To me, that seems more significant than Armin just having some insecurity. You know what I mean? It seems like something that he has to mentally overcome, that has at least some depth to it. Since the last run, which was like on the 7th episode, Aaron now can become a Titan for some reason. Okay, when Aaron became a Titan, I was like, what? And then he pulled a Susano and shielded everybody. I was like, what the hell is this? He took a bite of his finger because his dad injected it with the Titan juice, and he bit himself on the finger like Luffy, and he became a Titan, dude. And when that happened, like the whole corps freaked out. They were like, what the hell? Bro, because these people have such PTSD from Titans that I think if you're over 7 feet tall, they will shoot you. They'll kill you. They say, he's a Titan. He's tall enough to be a Titan. They also introduce another Titan, which is Annie. You know what I mean? They introduce her late on season 1. And I'm not a big fan of Annie. I do like her character, but like my friends, they're all crushing over Annie and her Titan form. I don't know why, dude. To me, she's mid. Even her regular human form is mid to me. I don't find her attractive. And it's interesting too because she has the power of ice. She can harden her skin by freezing some of her parts, which I think her powers of ice comes from her being such a cold-hearted bitch. Like it makes sense. She's such a cold-hearted bitch that she has ice powers. Now Aaron doesn't seem to have that power. However, I think on the last few episodes where Aaron is fighting Annie in Titan form, he does seem to have like fire power. Maybe he caught on fire, or maybe he actually has fire powers. I don't know. So like I was saying, the introduction of the female Titan is cool because it led to some cool action scenes. It led to seeing another Titan aside from Aaron that was actually, evolved and could fight. And it was pretty interesting to see all the corps trying to deal with Annie and how she, plays them all, because it makes sense. Like they point out in the series, Annie is part of the corps too, so she knows their maneuvers, so she knows how to counteract them. But one thing that I noticed too is how sad she is when she's in her Titan form. If you see her eyes, a lot of times they're sad eyes. You know what I mean? It feels like she's almost reluctant to carry on whatever her mission is as a Titan, because I don't particularly know what her whole purpose is as a Titan, what she's trying to achieve as a Titan. You know what I mean? So that's basically where season 1 ends, and the things that you have to look forward to, or the things that are happening right at the end of season 1, is that you have the Annie plot where they capture her and I guess they want to interrogate her. You also have the plot of Eren and being accepted by the organization as a whole, because they don't trust him. That plot by itself I don't particularly care for much, because like I said, it seems like the obvious thing to do is to use them. You know what I mean? Use them for your cause, not ban him or whatever. What are they gonna do? Kick him outside the walls? He's just gonna become a Titan. He's just gonna unionize the Titans and come back and kill them all. That's a bad idea. So the best plan for them is to use them, bro. It's obvious. The one thing that I'm more hyped, oddly enough, is the key that Eren has on his neck. Is the key to his that basement. I'm more intrigued about that whatever's happening with Annie and whatever's happening with the government or whatever. Now I'm gonna say this to finish it. Though I did like season 1, and I do find the anime itself, I think it's a decent anime, and I think it's intriguing enough to keep on watching it. I don't particularly get why it's so hyped. I don't understand how people would put this anime on their top 5 or whatever. Granted, I've only seen season 1. Maybe it gets better season 2, season 3, I don't particularly know. But so far I can tell you this. To me, this anime so far is just decent. If I would have to rate it for now, I would give it a 6 out of 10. That means it's serviceable, and it's decent, and it's watchable. But it's not the greatest thing ever. You know how some people paint it out to be. And yeah, that's all I have to say about it, I guess, for now. So thank you for watching if you did watch, and I'll see you guys later.